It's June 17th, 2018 in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and it's 93 degrees outside. It's been getting pretty hot here, but things are still growing, as can be demonstrated by this little road here that leads to my property. I imagine the city will come out and chop it all down when it gets pretty overgrown, but there are still some things in here that I did plant. There's some lamb's quarter, but it's pretty weedy, and if I can get an abundance of wood chips, I might just have them dump right there, and I'll just spread wood chips over everything and help the city out with that. But in terms of my lot, I'm trying to remember what's on my last update video, but I got my fence done, and so this is my little wood chip bay, and it is full, almost blocking my entrance here. The last guys who dumped didn't do a very good job, but that's all right. So that's kind of makes it sort of a priority to spread these wood chips, potentially get them inoculated with some mushroom spawn, and open up that bay again to get some more. I'm probably going to spread wood chips along this edge just to clean up at least my fence line. On the inside of the fence, I spread it, Jordan and I spread some wood chips, and then we kind of did some seed bombs, and there's some kind of bean plant that'll hopefully climb up the fence here, and so we can get a harvest off of that. Lots of different things in these seed balls that we did. You can see some kind of squash or melon popping up there, some beans. So we'll see what survives. Again, I'm not watering any of this stuff. This is all unirrigated, so it'll be interesting. I got a bunch of new logs that I need to inoculate as well with some mushroom spawn. They're just kind of edging right now. Let's see, start over here. Got the shed complete. That project was a pain in the butt, but it's nice to have storage now. The water tank, I was considering collecting water off the roof there, and I still might do that, but I'm already getting bigger plans to potentially build a bigger roof, basically a bigger water catchment system, but I'm not sure. Haven't finalized my designs in terms of that construction. Not much to see over there. There are some pawpaw saplings that got planted thanks to my brother. They're right here. They're still adjusting. They could probably use some water. I have not irrigated them since we put them in, so they've just been surviving on the rainwater, which is what I want, but when transplanting, plants usually always need a little extra water. Been enjoying lots of honeysuckles. The wild cherries are not ready yet. This space is new, I think, since the last time I documented. So this is kind of a little shaded space that'll evolve into a hangout space, but is also going to be essentially where I do most of my mushroom production. So all these logs have been inoculated. These are pecan logs from this pecan tree, and these guys I inoculated with shiitake sawdust spawn, mushroom spawn. And I'll do a video on how I did it. It was an experiment, but basically I used like a cob material. So I used my chainsaw and I cut slits, and I put the mushroom spawn in the slits, and then I used a cob material to cover up instead of like a wax, because I am off grid and I didn't want to have to deal with melting wax, and so I thought a cob material would be a good substitute. So that'll be interesting. And so it has rained, and the cob material seems to hold up, and I think it's I used grass clippings. Ideally I think you would want dried. Mine weren't totally dried, but I think the grass clippings really help to kind of make a mat to protect the mycelium on the inside. So we'll see. That's going to be a long-term project. Usually, you know, it takes about a year for the spawn to fully colonize the mushroom logs. Over here in my elderberry grove, I got some flowers, so we'll have some elderberries hopefully this year. And then right next to it is a wild cherry, which they're starting to blush, starting to change colors, which is exciting. You know, even though they might not taste that great, it's exciting just to see what kind of yields are here without my doing. That was all just planted by the birds. There's elderberries, mulberries. This mulberry tree right here seems like it might be a good one since it's young, but it produced berries this year. I saw a couple berries on it. The birds got to them before I did though. But so that's exciting. There's an elderberry, and then yeah, I've been discovering all sorts of saplings, mulberry, cherry, and then some pear and apple. And so it'll be cool to see what fruits and just to see how everything evolves. The space hasn't changed much. I got some bare root saplings that were going to get thrown away from the Up With Trees here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and because they were all pretty gnarly looking, I didn't put much effort into planting them. So I basically just dug a trench in the wood chips and then gave them a little bit of soil and then just covered them back up with wood chips. And so in this, they're mostly dead, but in this row was red bud and then something called a sand plum. And so I'm actually kind of excited for the sand plum. It's supposed to be more of a shrubby, smaller tree that can produce edible fruit, plum-like fruits. So I don't know much about it, but it looks like I'm gonna have some that will survive. And so that's good. It's exciting. More diversity. And yeah, lots of poison ivy. I'm waiting until I see it all start flowering and going to seed, and then I'm gonna probably have to come in and really do a lot of removal, because the wood chips, smothering with the wood chips, it helps, but I just don't have, it takes a lot of effort and time, and it doesn't really do the trick all the way. You still gotta pull it. So here's a jalapeno that my brother gave me to transplant here. What is that? That's interesting. The shell of a beetle. Huh, interesting. Blueberry's doing well. Here's a raspberry, has lots of new growth. I think that's something my brother planted. I think it's like a longevity spinach or something like that. Over here in my summer garden along the fence, some things are wilty and dying, but I don't think it's necessarily from lack of moisture. Unfortunately, my neighbors sprayed some kind of planticide around their trees, and so especially right here, I think a lot of that got into my garden. But it's kind of cool to see how the soil health and the diversity it wasn't too affected. There's definitely some plants. There was a potato that just totally got wiped out by it, but a lot of the plants were unaffected. So I'm gonna have to potentially talk to them about not using the herbicides, and maybe I'll just go clean up the weeds. But anyways, there are some healthy looking plants that will survive. And so again, this is unirrigated, and it'll be exciting to see what's harvested from here. So this is kind of the area that was definitely affected by the spray. In these garden beds, everything is really bolting to seed, and it looks like I need to come in here and start harvesting some seed, especially the arugula. So that's on the list of things to do, the ever-growing list of things to do. So yeah, lots of wilting, but you gotta make it. I can't help them. They'll survive. So it'll be feedback, and you know, these guys get a little more shade, so that'll be interesting feedback to see just what's ideal for kind of off-grid, unirrigated farming, or gardening, I guess is a better word. Let's see. Oh man, this back fence. Well, yeah, let me just go back there now. So I left for about 11 days, and this fence had just been put in, and the fence line was clear, and in just a couple weeks the greenbriers have shot to the top and are reaching for the sky. They just want to go up, and so I'm realizing that I kind of lost that battle before it even began. You know, I was thinking of different ways to kind of maybe keep the fence clean, or at least grow things on it that I wanted to grow, but it's okay because the greenbrier is edible, and it's going to kind of provide a view block, and as well as provide food. So it's not the end of the world. I'll probably just wait till I'll let it grow all summer and fall, and then wait till it gets cold, and then chop everything off at the base, just to at least you know, set it back to the ground, to the roots, and that actually makes for thicker, more tender shoots that have more edibility. It's kind of like asparagus, so it'll be interesting. It might be my biggest crop on this this lot, just because it's so prevalent. So we'll see. In my hugel mound, we were harvesting peas and things. Not too much vegetable production, but the trees are doing all right, at least some of them. Some of them have died, I think from lack of moisture. Again, okay, because I planted them really thick. So it's all an experiment, and I'm just learning and observing. And yeah, let's see. Not much else new. I got a few plants. A few more plants from my brother. I think this is a blackberry that he gave me. Looking pretty happy. And then over here we have a little raised bed that has well, it has a yam, a purple yam, some kind of yam, I think. And sorry, I'm saying a lot, I know. It has already made it up to the top of this little tree, and we'll see if it can make that jump and kind of get over there, because it'll literally climb on top of all this stuff and just suck in that sunlight. So pretty amazing. In the 11 days when I was gone, it went from a foot high to probably 10-12 feet high. So that's pretty cool. This one is a gherkin. It's like a little mini cucumber, about that size. My brother brought it for me. It's not doing quite as well. Things have been eating on it, but it's making progress. I've kind of helped it up onto these branches, and hopefully it can make its way. Other than that, not sure what else is new, so I'll just leave it there for the update and say peace.